All right, guys. When it comes to boxing, and I wanted to kind of give an explanation as to why I kind of stopped making a lot of boxing videos, and there's a multitude of reasons, but let me be brutally honest as to why I kind of stopped. And this is just me. It's not something somebody told me, or this is kind of something I just decided on my own. And, you know, if I ever just, you know, get that itch, I'll start making videos again. You just never know, right? But I think I owe people who are subscribed to me an explanation because many are asking me, why don't you make boxing videos anymore? What's going on, right? This is why, and it's going to take a little bit of explaining, but just kind of stay with me for a little bit. First of all, let me just say this, right? I love the sport of boxing, right? I, I, if there's a good fight, I'll watch it. That's the way it is. That's me. I still watch the sport. I don't, you know, I still watch a lot of fights, but I don't watch a lot of fights live. I used to have the schedule, and ahead of time, I would try and find, what where the fights are coming up, international feed, and I was doing the work. What I mean? As far as finding the fights, I had a boxing podcast. I was involved in different boxing podcasts. I was excited about the sport at one point. You know, and I remember when I was doing all that, and I was doing all that work, right? I was searching the fights ahead of time. I was looking up these fighters. I was talking about these fighters. I was, watching them on HBO, on Showtime, on ESPN2, on whatever other channel, Telemundo, Televisa, right? I was watching all these fights. I was keeping an eye on prospects, who's the up and coming, and I was watching international feeds from across the pond, right? I was doing all that, and I was excited about it. And then, you know, I would hear someone who just talks sports in general, or even boxing in some cases, come on and regularly just bash the sport and make blanket statements like boxing's dead and there's no more good fights anymore. When I just watched like a bloodbath of a fight on some internet feed, right? So and I remember how frustrating that was, and like it would literally piss me off, right? So now at this current time, I just don't have the motivation. Admittedly so, because I'm, just kind of upset with the sport, in general. But but at the end of the day, I've always kind of been critical of the sport. It's one thing to be critical once in a while, but the motivation isn't there. I just don't have the motivation to be the guy that's looking at the prospects and look at this, look at that. Like I just don't have that motivation, right? What I do now is most fights I DVR and watch later. And if I hear, and I do it here in the YTVC, if I hear that there was a great fight, I'll listen to the end. Somebody talk about it, and then I'll go back and I'll look for it on YouTube or something, and I'll watch it, right? Because I still love the sport. I still want to see a great fight. There's still certain fighters I kind of pay attention to and things like that, right? But I just don't have the motivation to do all that work, And one of the reasons I decided I'm not going to come on here and just talk boxing out of my ass, right? I'm not just going to come on here and just be negative all the time, and just be the guy who just makes blanket statements about the entire international sport of boxing, right? And just be negative all the time. I just didn't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? That just is ragging on a sport that I love, right? So I just didn't want to be that guy. That when it comes down to it, that's what it was, and that's why I've stayed away. And I've just avoided overall just talking about the sport because there was a couple times I came on here, I was going to talk about something, and I just caught myself just bashing the sport, and I said, fuck this, right? Because it's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with being critical of the sport, but I think the sport gets enough, boxing is dead attention in mainstream circles. There's enough people that bash the sport already, Me coming on here and giving somebody the whole, just being, just giving blanket statements of it, and I just don't want to do that, right? And there is a lot of people here that put in the work, that take the time, break down fights, do post fights, and and I don't want to be disrespectful to them, right? Just because I'm not motivated to do that work, and to just come on here and just talk out of my ass, that's just not something I want to do. And at the end of the day, that's all it is, right? I mean, that's really what it is. Obviously, I am, even the people that are motivated to talk about boxing right now, I think even they recognize that there's a lot of issues with the sport. And these issues have existed for a long time, right? But I just don't have the motivation to put in that work, at least not now. That could change, right? But I just don't have the motivation, guys. And that's really what it is. And if you don't have the motivation to put in the work, if I come on here with a perspective that does not involve putting in work and really knowing what's going on worldwide in boxing, without that perspective, I will be giving a very negative, skewed view of the boxing world. And that's something I don't want to contribute to, right? So there's a lot of good channels here, and I still watch the channels. I still listen to a lot of boxing talk, and and that's that. See, right now I'm the listener. That's what I am right now. Not to say that I don't. If I get motivated about something, I'm going to come on here and I'm going to talk about it. Right? That doesn't change. That doesn't change. But there you go. You want an explanation? You got it. Peace.